a lot of students tend to start burning out. Is there any ways or strategies that we can use to cope with this?
Burnout happens when for a long time you are doing something which you're not excited about. Choices are more, so there is confusion. Expectations are more, so there is pressure. And in midst of all that, there are distractions. And break down your big project or the big aim into small executable steps. Talk to people, have at least one mentor and one family member with whom you are in communication all the time.
There are some cases in which students don't necessarily have access to these sorts of support systems. So I was wondering, are there any specific strategies or techniques that students could use to help themselves bounce back from moments like these?
Your prefrontal cortex is still developing, so the whole mental faculty of decision making, discretion, having developed the mental resilience is still not mature. Very difficult at your age to kind of do self-bouncing back.
Good afternoon, Doctor. Welcome to the third segment of the episode today. My name is Navika Bharadwaj, and I also have a few questions to ask you. So with so many things weighing on our mind, and with the stress that comes from being in the final years of high school and applying to colleges, a lot of students tend to start burning out. Is there any ways or strategies that we can use to cope with this, and how we can prevent this from happening?
So thank you, Navika. I think even my daughter is in class 12 and she's going through the same stress. And I can understand for you, the choices are more, so there is confusion. Expectations are more, so there is pressure. And also you want to do well and make sure that you have a great career ahead of you. So that's also a self-induced performance pressure that you have. And in midst of all that, there are distractions. So there's social media distractions, there is influencer distractions. Everybody is giving you advice on how to live, what to eat, and what to do. So it's not an easy age to be in, or an easy situation to be in. Like even in the last two segments we discussed, it's important to kind of not think too much ahead and break down your big project or the big aim into small executable steps. Talk to people, have at least one mentor and one family member with whom you are in communication all the time. Have more conversations with your peers and friends who form the main core of your support group. Whenever you're feeling low, you discuss what you're feeling and support each other without judgment. Burnout happens when for a long time you are doing something which you're not excited about, and it's a daily rut. You are just going through the motions, and then obviously if you're not enjoying it, it's going to result in burnout. But if you're enjoying to do something, you are looking forward to kind of using this as a platform to jump into the next orbit of your career development, then we don't think burnout happens, because you're already excited. You want to do things. So physically, I think the effort does not burn you out. It is mainly the mental makeup which burns you out, and the expectations which come in. So that is where I think one important distinction what we would request students to have is the distinction between a growth mindset and a perfectionist mindset. Growth mindset tells you that you are on a path, and it's not a straight path. There will be ups and downs. You will have good days, you will have bad days, and so you bounce back from bad days by yourself or by taking support of your support group. And good days you do well anyway. But always give credit for any failures as learning opportunities, not end of the road. But when you are approaching life and career with a very perfectionist mindset, you want everything to be just right. Whatever you expect, it has to fall into place. What that does is also put you in space of fear. Once you are in that fearful mode, either you back off completely saying that, I cannot do this, so I'll as well not attempt it. Failures crash you very badly. It takes a long time for you to bounce back. you're not resilient enough with a perfectionist mindset, and you're more worried about how people or how the world is looking at you after a failure. So don't get into that perfectionist mindset so early in life. It is important to have that growth mindset, have a roadmap laid out, and be ready for surprises, and kind of make friends and have mentors who have been through that path to give you the right guidance. But still, you are owner of your own brain, of your own moods. So take responsibility, take accountability of that, and whenever you're not feeling like doing something or something's not going right, bounce off those ideas and those moments with your close mentors and family and friends, and find a way through it.
Doctor, you mentioned the importance of having mentors or a support system to help you bounce back from moments like these. But there are some cases in which students don't necessarily have access to these sorts of support systems. So I was wondering, are there any specific strategies or techniques that students could use to help themselves bounce back from moments like these?
Very difficult at your age to kind of do self bouncing back, because as I told, your prefrontal cortex is still developing. So the whole mental faculty of decision making, discretion, kind of having developed the mental resilience, is still not mature. Your limbic system, which is a high emotion area, will hijack everything else. You will need support. So we would advise that if you're not comfortable with close family, teachers, mentors, always seek out professional help, and don't get tabooed by spelling out that you need help. That is the most important thing. All of us go through tough times. It is important to acknowledge those tough times, acknowledge that you need help, and seek professional help. By seeking professional help, I'm not meaning psychiatric help or you need to go on some medications. It is just we have counseling psychologists who are there who help children with these kind of anxieties, both in terms of day-to-day anxieties to even deeper existential questions. We're just creating a safe space for you to express, to vent out, and that itself solves a lot of problems and give frameworks to look at the situation slightly differently. The other advice what we want to give teenagers is also not to use AI tools or the dark web to seek out these kind of advices. Many of them are predatory in nature. They will give you the wrong advice. Many of them are not contextualized to your situation, so it may be completely wrong. So it's very important that first you acknowledge that there is a problem, find out the right person to solve that problem, and we as doctors are always available to help you out, to reach out to you. Even if you're not comfortable with face-to-face conversations, online consultations are available with a chosen professional. So that support is available, but then your responsibility is to understand that you need help and then seek it out.
Yeah, it's important to know that all students don't necessarily have to deal with everything by themselves. Yeah. And they can always seek out someone to talk to. Um, on in line with academic burnout, um, a lot of students, when their exams are approaching or they have a lot of academic pressure, they tend to neglect other aspects of their health, such as their nutrition or sleep. From an academic perspective, would you say that maintaining the importance of keeping your body physically healthy can also have positive outcomes on their academic performance?
Very much so. And we see a maximum amount of infections during exam times. Every exam times, we have a spurt of viral infections, chickenpox outbreaks, which coincides with the spring season. Also, because children are not eating enough, not sleeping enough, not hydrating themselves enough. So that's why I think the advice to teenage children, especially who are going for boards and in the higher standards, is that have a routine throughout the year. Don't pile up too much for the last 3-4 months. I think have a target of finishing off your course by say December, Jan, if your exams is in March, so that you keep a buffer for any untoward incident like falling sick or hospitalization for any reason. The next thing will be the right diet, right hydration, right sleep. Sleep is very important for you to be able to process and execute the exam the next day. When you do a full night out, thinking that because you're not slept, you will not be able to recall and recollect those information which you need to perform on the next day. And for subjects which include logic and which include derivation from the first principles, physics, mathematics, you will completely fade out. And that brain fade will push you into cycle of again guilt, and then pushing yourself more, thinking that the result is going to change. So it's very important for teenagers to really plan their schedules very smartly. And keeping good health forms the main crux of that strategy. Okay, so 5 to 6 hours of sleep the day before exam, even if you're not feeling sleepy, I think it's important for you to slow down, trust the process that you have studied for the whole year. And a few more hours of turning the same pages is not going to make a significant difference. So next day it is all going to come out, and that really helps. Don't I think throughout the year also do a lot of mock tests, so that you are the mechanics of the exam day, definitely well. Your pencil boxes, your rituals on the exam day, what water bottle you carry, food you carry, hall tickets you carry, because many of the exams are in different centers. When you it may not be your own school. Sometimes the entrance exam happens all over the country in different places, but your exam day ritual has to be pakka. So that's why the pre-exam day, I think, focus more on relaxing, going through light reading, focus on things which you find it difficult to revise, only those aspects, the ones which you're confident about, you can leave it, because it will come when you need it in the exam. But good sleep is very important.
And moving on to nutrition specifically, I know that a lot of students tend to look for foods or drinks that can give them instant energy. But of course, in the long run, this can detriment their health as well. Could you give us any realistic tips on how they could build a healthier diet, just knowing that it might be difficult to find these options when the ones that are not so healthy are so readily available?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I like the term realistic because teenage also pushes you to have those cravings. And in the middle of the night, to choose between a broccoli salad and a donut, you will not choose the broccoli salad. So it is difficult. The thing what you have to remember is that high sugar and high caffeine is going to give you a high, but then it will crash also immediately. And so your brain works on a cycle of energy, adrenaline, dopamine, and then crash. And then to fulfill this crash, you need a higher dose of caffeine. And all these things keeps your stress hormones significantly at a higher level. So at that moment, you may feel good about it, but then the stress hormones are much on the higher side. It then affects your gut. You start feeling little nauseous, stomach pains come about. Your bowel movements become abnormal. You want to go to sleep after this caffeine, but you're unable to sleep, and then you're constantly looking at the clock that the 5 hours remaining for when I had to wake up. Then it's 2 hours, then it's 1 hour, and then whole night has gone without you sleeping, and now you're groggy, and you do not know what to do. And then you again top it up with some more high sugar, high caffeine drinks. So again, very important for you to I'm saying not completely go away from these cravings, but then limit it to some extent. So for teenagers, we tell that if you are having 3 meals a day, and for a week 21 meals, so let 18 meals be home cooked, freshly prepared, but 3 meals can be of your choice. During the exam time, say the exams have started, there your cravings go up, because it's basically the stress which pushes you for those cravings to happen. There again, it is very important for you to have the food which is nutritious to your brain. And all these high sugar, high caffeine food is not going to keep your brain healthy significantly. And those at the crash moments, you're not really functioning very well, revising things, going through the same studies. you will yourself realize that, I'm spending time, but nothing's entering my head, and no amount of coffee is helping. So it's very important, again, is to have what we call my five concept, if you have heard about it in terms of nutrition. So there are five components on your plate which should be there at every meal. So every meal, if you look at it, these five components have to be there. One is fruits, second vegetables, third is grains, fourth is source of protein, which can be vegetarian in terms of say paneer, dal, dry fruits, or non-vegetarians like meat, and fifth is the dairy product like a bowl of curd or a buttermilk. If you have these five components into your day-to-day meal, and every meal plan has got these five components, you're physically much better, in a much better shape, and top up coffee or a slight craving for anything sweet is not going to harm your body in a significant way, and you are in top shape to perform well in the exams.
Yeah. Yeah, I think a combination of good sleep and good nutrition can actually lead to better outcomes rather than just pushing yourself beyond the limit. That's really good advice. Thank you so much, Doctor. Thank you so much for joining us today. We were delighted to host you here at Trio. And to all our listeners, thank you so much for tuning in to our third episode of Trio Tales. We hope to see you next time.
Thank you for having me here, and good luck with your trial tales. Thank you.